What's going on, everyone? So there's this claim that's been floating around for years that moonlight is cold. The way this usually goes is someone with a laser thermometer like this or a FLIR camera measures the ground in direct moonlight during a full moon, then measures the ground in the shade, and when the shaded ground reads warmer, they conclude that the moon itself must be cooling things down. You'll see YouTube videos saying this. Look, the moonlight is colder than the shaded area. Therefore, the moon emits cold light. But there's a big scientific problem with that conclusion. There's no proper control, and the conclusion is being drawn from a single test, and they conclude it with their bias. So before doing anything tonight, I'm going to let you know I've already tested this twice. Last night, there was pretty much a new moon. The moon was at 1% illumination and had set roughly 3 hours prior to my measurement. And 4 nights ago, it was 6 hours after the moon had set and a little over an hour after the sun had set. In both cases, I found the exact same thing. The temperature under my gazebo was warmer than the temperature out in open air, even when there's no moonlight at all. That immediately tells us that moonlight itself is probably not the cause. So that leads us to a hypothesis we can actually test. My hypothesis is this. As the night goes on, the difference in temperature between the open air area and under my gazebo will continue to increase, even with no moon in the sky. If that happens, when whatever people are measuring during full moon is not cold moonlight, it is something else entirely.
Editor Debunker here, I forgot to finish that statement. So the other thing is, in the open air, there is nothing to prevent radiation from essentially escaping. Whereas under a gazebo or other people's experiments of a tree, that canopy or that top is preventing the heat radiation, whatever you want to call it, from escaping and causing a little pocket to hold some heat in. And that is why the shade looks warmer than the direct moonlight. But in this case, we have no moon.
Tonight is the official new moon. For my location today, the moon set at 4:57 and the sun set right around 5:22. Right now it is 6:27 and there is no moon or sun in the sky at all. So here's how we're going to test things tonight. I have 2 identical temperature logging setups. This one here underneath open sky and that one over there underneath the gazebo. Now everything is kept identical. They're both the same height off of the ground. They have the same cardboard surface base, the same equipment on them, and the same equipment layout. The only difference is whether the sensor can see the open sky or not, and the battery packs used are different. They both are 5-volt battery packs, but I don't have 2 matching ones.
Here's exactly what we're using, and you can get all of this online. I got it all off Amazon. But this here, Arduino Nano, this is the DS3231 real-time clock module, so it can timestamp every measurement. This is a micro SD card read and writer to save all the data. And this way over here is the BME 280 sensor that measures temperature, air pressure, and humidity. And then this and this are just basic breadboards. We've got some wiring happening. Altogether, all of this costs about 16 bucks, and then a battery pack. So it's not expensive lab equipment. This is an experiment anyone can replicate. The RTC is tracking Arizona time, since that's where I live. This sensor takes a reading every 5 minutes and saves it to this SD card. I'm gonna let this thing run until 12:30 or 1 a.m. If it's still got battery, I'll probably let it keep going, but it should, because this is very little power draw for these.
Either way, we're gonna have clean time series and temperature data from both locations. So we're gonna leave them here until pretty much tomorrow morning. We'll pull the SD cards, look at the data, graph it, and see what actually happened. Well guys, it's right at 7 a.m. It's 48 degrees out for me in this Phoenix weather. Both have lights on still, so they both look like they've been running. And the sun is rising, so we'll take these inside and see what the data says.
So I pulled the data, and look how fun this is. This is the milliseconds it logged. This is the date and time it logged. But if you look here, every log is the exact same, and it's absurd. So that happened with the open air one. The gazebo one worked perfectly fine. So my guess is, and you can see with this, it started at 6:18 and ran all the way until 7 in the morning. And it did this the whole time. So my guess is I bumped a wire when I was setting it down and messed it up. So I'm going to do it again tonight. It is one day after the new moon, but the moon sets at 5:52, so it will be gone all night tonight. I'll do the same thing, set it up around 6:20, 6:30, let it run all the way through the night now that I know that it can. So to prevent that, I've installed the little LED screen here so we can live monitor things. So after I set everything up, I can walk over and look at it and make sure that every reading looks fine. It is refreshing every 5 seconds here. But we're going to run it tonight And I might run it a number of nights, but we'll run it tonight and make a video out of it and see what happens. You don't need this, but I'm gonna start using these every time.
Okay, so I set those up a minute ago. It is 6:23. Just wanted to make sure they were working. Looks like this one is working correctly. And over here, looks like this one's working correctly. So we'll let these go all night. It's 7:18 a.m. These ran all night. This one and that one. Look at that beautiful sunrise. We're gonna take these inside and check it out.
Okay, so here we go. We've got the data. This is open air. This one is from the gazebo. It looks like the data is all correct. As you can see, the timestamps here. So I plugged these in within a second of each other. So this one, 6:19, 47 seconds, 6:19, 48 seconds. So I'm just going to use this time that's like within a second of each other and just compare the temps straight down. But I'm going to share this data publicly. So this is going to be untouched, these two, and then these two I'm going to mess with. You can kind of see I just put an O on here and a G on there. That way I can just copy these columns and keep them all organized. And it ran from 6:19 until 7:18 in the morning. So I'm going to mess with this and then we'll come back. So I've got all the data in one sheet here, but you can kind of see here I unplugged one of them 20 seconds. I'm bad at math before. But what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to graph 9,000 data points, what I'm going to do is just grab a minute from each 15 minutes. So we're going to we'll start at 30. So the first bit of data we'll grab will be this stretch. There we go. 1 minute of data. And then what I'll do is go take the average of that 1 minute, and we'll use that, and then literally just every 15 minutes. And there'll be a new tab that will have all of this in, and we'll grab these numbers, kind of do this, and then grab those numbers one at a time. And then because I am American, we are going to do Fahrenheit. So the math formula for that is this here. Celsius times 9 divided by 5 plus 32 gives us our Fahrenheit. Okay, so I went through and did all these 1 minute intervals at 15 minutes apart, and then put them all into this sheet here so we can see the timestamps every 15 minutes. And these are all the averages. And now we're just going to graph them, really just going to do temperatures. I'll do Celsius and then Fahrenheit as two separate graphs. But I may as well graph like all of this data in one group and just see if these lines kind of coincide. First, we're going to look at the temperatures just side by side. This is in Fahrenheit. So the blue is open air, the red is under the gazebo, and we can see, as expected, it dropped throughout the night. It is interesting, or what's important, I guess, is how much these align perfectly the entire time. So we know that the sensors were kind of tracking the same. There is one anomaly right here where open had shot down and under the gazebo went up. This might be like a gust of wind. I don't know. Didn't measure or monitor weather all night. And then we had this heat spike right at midnight, or 11:30. So here's the graph in Celsius. You can kind of see as those went on, the difference between the two steadily climbed. Well, it bounced, but the trend line goes up. So the difference between the two in terms of temperature climbed. That's Celsius. This is Fahrenheit. So by early morning, the gazebo location was over 5 degrees warmer than the open air. And this happened without any moonlight present at all. So whatever people are measuring during a full moon can't be caused by the moon itself. I found this one to be interesting. This is temperature, pressure, humidity. Pressure just barely went up slightly, but temperature is the red and humidity is the blue. It's interesting how these like mirror each other perfectly. I was surprised by that, but the more you know. We'll come back and address this. So this spike right at 11:30, I have no idea what caused it. I know it didn't rain, and I wasn't monitoring like cloud coverage, wind speed, wind directions, any of that. It could have been a brief cloud event, a shift in wind, anything like that. but both sensors saw the same spike here, so that's good. And then same with this one. My guess is maybe a gust of wind came in from a specific direction and just wiped across this one, but didn't hit this one. So this experiment doesn't claim that the gazebo creates heat. It doesn't claim that the moon cools the ground. What it shows is something much simpler. Structures like canopies, gazebos, walls, roofs, trees, they change how heat is exchanged with the night sky. Open air loses heat faster because it radiates directly into the open sky, whereas underneath canopies or next to walls, the heat is lost more slowly because some nearby surface radiates heat back at it. So the conclusion here is straightforward. The growing temperature difference is not caused by moonlight. It's caused by geometry, structures, and radiative heat transfer. Anytime you compare open sky to shaded or covered areas, you'll see a temperature difference. So it looks like the hypothesis was right. It wasn't a full moonlight that caused this change, and we saw the change grow throughout the night like predicted. Now, if you only test this during a full moon, it's pretty easy to mistake that structural effect for something mystical, like moonlight is cold. This is why controls matter, this is why repeating experiments matter, and this is why single observations are not evidence. Get out there, test the claims, do the work, don't let internet memes fool you into believing something wildly incorrect. So I'll be running this test again in 2 weeks during the full moon, and then that video will be pretty quick because we're just going to compare the two data sets and really see what happened. But this data here, all of my data through last night, is going to be available for anybody. The link will be in the description of this video. I don't know how you'll use it, but you can use it as you want because people that do science typically are willing to share their data. And if somebody says, well, you need to go do your own research, then they definitely don't know what they're talking about. You can access this anytime you want. Thanks for checking out the video. If you liked it, give a like. If you didn't, a dislike. And we'll see you in the next one.